Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra, and on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air. You can also watch us live on DSTV channel 14421 and GoTV channel 144. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon, Joy News investigations uncover how a company linked to the Deputy Sanitation Minister, Amidu Isahaku Chinia, and registered in the names of his brother, cousin, and personal driver won government contract at the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council during his tenure as Deputy Regional Minister.
I wouldn't want to speak about the directors per se because I know there's a process to unearth who the director of a company is. I know all the people you have mentioned, but I wouldn't want to speak to the directorship of the company.
We have more as the Ghana Revenue Authority tax audit of the company reveals interesting details. Also, British High Commission in Ghana reviews the global availability of illicit drugs is on the rise, with Ghana on the global radar as a transit country for drug trafficking.
Availability of drugs is higher than ever before, and it is not enough to work only at the source and destination points. We need to continue to disrupt every point of the supply chain.
More as the Minister for Interior, Ambrose Derry, calls for public support to fish out unscrupulous individuals involved in the illicit trade.
African Union, AU, Economic Commission of West African States, ECOWAS, and their member states have been working together relentlessly to resolve the drug problem.
And in our Drive Safe campaign, Overgrown Weeds in part of the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, poses a threat to motorists. Stay as we engage authorities for possible solutions here on The Pulse.
It's scary using the road at night, especially for weeder drivers.
My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. The Pulse is brought to you by the global communities Digny Lu, affordable, safe sanitation. Remember, we are also streaming live on YouTube and all our social media handles at Joy News on TV. You can tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. Always a pleasure to host you. Now, the British High Commission in Ghana has revealed that the global availability of illicit drugs is shooting up, with Ghana being on the global radar as a transit country for drug trafficking, especially cocaine and other psychotropic substances. The British High Commission's Deputy Head of Missions, Keith McMahon, says that some fishing communities have been identified as conduit for such activities in the drug supply chain. Hence, urgent measures need to be taken to disrupt every notable supply and destination point of drug trafficking. He made these comments at the commemoration of the International Day Against Drugs and Illicit Trafficking.
Thankfully, Ghana does not suffer as many of the debilitating issues stemming from Class A drug addiction. We hope this continues, though there are signs across West Africa that domestic markets may start to expand. So far, though, it is around the supply of drugs where the UK and Ghana have worked together so closely over the last few years. The global availability of drugs is higher than ever before, and it is not enough to work only at the source and destination points. We need to continue to disrupt every point of the supply chain, and that's where we need your help and support. Ghana is noted as a transit country for drug trafficking, particularly cocaine, with South America directly across the ocean, but also heroin and some psychotropic substances, as well as precursor chemicals. The UK has invested over $3 million in Narcotics Control Commission over the last 10 years. And our teams from Border Force, Immigration Enforcement and the National Crime Agency have developed strong partnerships not only with the NCC, but also the Economic and Organised Crime Office, Ghana Police, the Financial Intelligence Centre, and other law enforcement agencies. We have made great progress together. As many of you will already be aware, the UK has also now partnered with Germany through GIZ to set up a new serious organised crime programme. This will build upon progress already made and continue to support and strengthen some of the institutions here in Ghana. I am delighted to say on this World Drugs Day that the new programme will be collaborating with NCC on a new awareness-raising campaign. This programme is designed to protect fishermen and their communities from the dangers of substance abuse and ensure that they are aware of the dangers of becoming involved in trafficking. Why fishing communities? Because we understand that globally, people are at risk of turning to the drugs trade as an economic buffer against poverty. And in the context of mounting competition over declining fish stocks, this risk rises. In February, we saw 9 Ghanaian fishermen arrested in Nigeria for smuggling Indian hemp. We are realists. We know that where there are profits, crimes will continue to be committed. But we need to ensure that those who commit these are fully aware of the significance of their crimes and the risks in doing so. And this means supporting vulnerable communities, like the fishing communities along the coast of Ghana, in Jamestown, La, Nungwa, Jorkor, Bortiana, Pram Pram, and Ada. We hope that the campaign will reach a minimum of 500 individuals.
Our Minister for Interior, Ambrose Derry, who read a keynote address on behalf of the President, called for public support to fish out individuals involved in the illicit trafficking of drug.
Over the years, the United Nations and her agencies, such as the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, World Health Organization, WHO, in alliance with continental and regional unions like the European Union, EU, the African Union, AU, Economic Commission of West African States, ECOWAS, and their member states have been working together relentlessly to resolve the drug problem. Indeed, the global efforts and responses to drug situations have not been in vain. Nonetheless, global assessment of the dynamics of the world drug situation amply calls for systemic changes in all drug prevention efforts to address the multifaceted dynamics of the illicit drug trade. A drastic change in approach to drug policy recognizes that the punitive approach has not stopped the flow of drugs and needs to be reviewed. Experts recommend that in contemporary drug preventing efforts, emphasis should be placed on evidence-based public health and social justice principles that focus on individuals, families, communities, society as a whole, and must underscore social protection and health care instead of conviction and punishment per se. For example, in 2013, our illustrious and eminent former UN Secretary General, the late Mr. Kofi Annan, convened the West African Commission on Drugs, WACD, to confer on the growing threats of drug trafficking and consumption in West Africa. The commission, chaired by the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo of Nigeria, comprised a diverse group of West Africans from the worlds of politics, civil society, health, security, and the judiciary. The report of the conference calls on governments and other stakeholders in the region and beyond to, quote, treat drug use as a public health issue, which should be economic costs and consequences rather than as a criminal justice matter, unquote.
Now joining us for a broader conversation on this development is the Acting Director of Public Affairs and International Relations at the Narcotics Control Commission, Francis Oppong. Thank you very much, sir, for agreeing to speak to us now. On what basis is the High Commission drawing the conclusion that coastal communities in Ghana are being used as transit for illicit drugs in Ghana?
Thank you, Kojo. And thank you so much for the opportunity to have a discussion on this very all-important topic. I think that the Deputy British High Commissioner is making that conclusion based on some recent seizures that were made, especially in Nigeria. Some few months ago, some people were arrested in Nigeria, and the investigation and the trace was linked to the fact that those people were canoe men and fishermen who were operating along our border coast, and those were the people who were arrested. I believe that the conclusion is, for me, is based on these arrests that was made. That is why he was saying that our coast is being used as a transit point.
Why is the coast, or say our fishermen, being the target for this business? Do we know why?
I think, Kojo, the answer could not be far-fetched because, as we all know, we have a very extended, a very large coastal line. And these coastal line, as we all know, is not properly patrolled, and therefore people think that it is an open place, it is an avenue where they can use either to bring in drugs or to take away drugs from the country. I personally believe that it's because of the porous nature of our border, especially the coastline. That is why people are sort of think that it is an avenue where they can do illicit business.
Interesting. Now, the U.S. Department of State wrote this about Ghana for the period 2009 to 2017 and says, Ghana is a transshipment point for illegal drugs, particularly cocaine from South America, as well as heroin from Afghanistan and Pakistan. Although Europe is the main destination, drugs also transit to the United States through Accra's Kotoka International Airport. Drug trafficking is fueling domestic drug consumption. Local use of cannabis, heroin, and cocaine remains a problem. End of quote. Now, how troubling then is it for us, for the British to also see us coming under the radar for same thing again in 2022?
Yeah, I think, Kojo, what we all need to realize and what we need to accept is that drug trafficking and illicit drug trade, it's something that is international, and they have a lot of linkages in doing that business. And therefore, one of the things that when they are working, they want to find out or they look out for is where they think that they could have maybe a good aviation system, commercial aviation system, and they think that those are the places that they can use in order to transit some of these drugs to other parts of the world. The drugs that you mentioned, honestly, are not from our country. The cocaine, the heroin are all from either Latin American countries or from East Asia. At the end of the day, what they do is that they try as much as they can to make sure that they use some of these ports where they have connectivity, aviation connectivity, commercial flights, that they think that they can use in order to facilitate the business, that illicit business that they do. I believe that it is a reason why the Americans probably make that assertion, and the British people are also saying that, yes, it is a problem because people are either using our coast or they're using our airports in order to transit some of these illicit drugs.
Well, so these are two power blocks that are saying same thing about Ghana. In terms of international relations, how troubling is this for our image as a country?
Yeah, it becomes a problem because at the end of the day, if your country is seen as a transit point, then obviously if your people are traveling, people want to do genuine business, then at the end of the day, they are looked at in a certain way, and therefore it gives a bad impression and a bad image about the country. But one thing that, Kojo, we also should understand and know that there is a lot of collaboration going on. That is why sometimes some of these reports will come out, because we're working closely with these international organizations and international partners to make sure that the drug business, the drug menace is a shared responsibility and therefore needs international and strong collaboration. And that is what Ghana is doing in making sure that whatever image that we have in the eyes of the international community, we work as hard as possible to correct and to change that image. We're doing that through international collaboration. We're working well with the British, we're working well with the Americans. There are a lot of trainings going on. There are a lot of support in terms of equipment and other things. And I believe that we have done a lot. We have done a lot as a nation, and we continue to work harder to make sure that we do not have that wrongful tag on us as a nation where people transit a lot of these illicit goods.
But well, that's great there for you to be making the effort. But what does it say about the effort you're making if still the international bodies or countries like the US and UK still see you as a transit country? What does it make of that effort you're talking about? Because today, that's what we are being told, that Ghana is under the radar as a transit country after all the effort that you've put in.
Yes, Kojo, that is what I said, that the drug business and the drug menace, it's not something that you can say that, yes, today we're done with it. Today we've achieved success in making sure that it's a continuous work. It's a continuous, I don't want to use the word fight, but it's a continual thing that we continue to do to make sure that wherever we are, we improve upon it. And that's what we're talking, with the collaborations that we're talking about, we're increasing education along the coastal areas. Next week, we are engaging with our international partners, GIS and FSDO. We're engaging with them to train our brothers and sisters who use the canoe and the fishermen, to let them know that, one, it is illegal, and two, if they continue to engage in that business, then they are going to create a lot of problems, not only for themselves, but the nation. Because if at the end of the day, people are seeing us as a transit country and people wouldn't want to do business, then obviously it's going to affect all of us. So we will continuously make sure that we'll engage. We'll continuously make sure that we educate people, we train people, so that they know that they are responsible for some of the things that they do, because their act one way or the other will not only affect them, but will affect the nation. So we're doing everything possible. We're making sure that, like I said, we intensify education, because that is the only way to make sure that people understand, people are well informed about the situations that they are in, so that they can take informed and a responsible decision about it.
Francis Oppong is the acting director in charge of public affairs and international relations at the Narcotics Control Commission. Now, moving on to other stories. This afternoon, a Joy News investigation has uncovered how a company linked to the Deputy Sanitation Minister, Amidu Isahako Chenia, and registered in the names of his brother, cousin, and personal driver won government contract at the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council during his tenure as Deputy Regional Minister. The Batosi Company Limited set up in 2017, barely a month after his appointment, and in the same year won a 2.6 million cedi planting for food and jobs contract. Now, they were again awarded a 12.6 million cedi road contract in 2019 by the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council. My colleague Kwete Nate has details in our latest documentary, Caught in Conflict, which will be airing tonight at 8:30 p.m. Here is an excerpt of what to expect tonight.
When Joy News contacted the Roads and Highway Ministry for details on the project, the acting chief director, Dr. Abbas Awulu, said the contract was awarded through open competitive tender and was advertised in the Ghanaian Times. 3 firms brought the tender documents and submitted same on the closing date. On the question of how a company with no track record in road construction was awarded this contract, he said the evaluation of tenders went through post-qualification exercise, and at the end of which the lowest evaluated tender, the Batosi Company Limited, was recommended for the award of this contract by the Upper West Regional Entity Tender Committee. I quote extracts of this letter from the Roads and Highway Ministry. The process followed for awarding this contract was the national competitive tendering processes as prescribed by the Public Procurement Act 2003. The threshold for awarding this contract was within that of the Upper West Regional Entity Committee and the Upper West Regional Tender Review Committee. On whether it was referred to the Procurement Authority for approval, the ministry said Act 663 does not prescribe reference for approval in national competitive tenders. There is even more. A memo obtained from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture dated 24th February 2020 said the Batosi Company Limited, owned by the Deputy Upper West Regional Minister, assessed farm inputs from the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign. The memo reads, per the arrangement, the company paid 1,330,000 of the cost of the subsidized inputs, leaving an outstanding balance of 1,330,000 to be paid after harvesting of farm produce. But several reminders from the acting director of the crop services at the Agric Ministry said Osei Akoto for the company to pay the outstanding balance proved futile. The memo addressed to the Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, was for him to impress on his then deputy to pay the balance owed to the Agric Ministry. When Joy News caught up with the Director of Crop Services, said Osei Akoto, he said the ministry has engaged with the Deputy Sanitation Minister and Member of Parliament for Sisala East to structure a payment plan to offset the outstanding balance of over 1.3 million cedis.
The ministry has taken the necessary steps to engage the then Deputy Regional Minister how to structure the payment, so it is being done.
Currently, Amidu Isahako Chenia is the Deputy Sanitation Minister and MP for Sisala East. The big questions are, why will the memo address him as the owner of Batosi Company Limited? How did his driver, cousin and brother form a company which secured a road contract with the Upper West Coordinating Council when he was the then Deputy Minister for the same region? When Joy News contacted Amidu Isahako Chenia, he admitted that he knows the directors of Batosi Company Limited, but categorically denied influencing any of the processes leading to the award of the contracts.
Like I have said, I know the owner, and I wouldn't want to speak about the directors per se, because I know there's a process to unearth who the director of a company is. And so there's a legal process. But what I can state as a matter of fact is that I personally is not a director of the company. I am not a director of the company. But as to those you have mentioned, I know all the people you have mentioned, but I wouldn't want to speak to the directorship of the company.
The Deputy Minister also pointed out that when the company was bidding for the road contract at the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council, he was not aware of the directors of the company. This was 2 clear years away from when the Batosi Company Limited won a contract under the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign at the Agric Ministry. The ministry had linked him to the Batosi Company Limited.
When this company bidded for a road contract, when you were a deputy minister at the time, did you at any point in time make it clear to the tendering committee or the ministry that you knew the directors of this company that was bidding for a contract when you were then a deputy minister at the regional ministry?
At the time, I had not had any information as to who the directors of the company were. It is when this issue came up that I heard the names, but I mean, I didn't know the directors of the company, so I wouldn't know who was a director and who is not a director of a company that comes to do business at the ministry. So, I mean, you only declare your association or your knowledge when you know who is a director of the company. But like I said, at the time, I didn't know the directors of the company. But later, these names came out. And, I mean, I have no reason to doubt it. But at the time, I didn't know.
How close are you with your brother?
My brother is he's my brother.
And he didn't at any point in time tell you that in 2017 he was forming a company, especially a company that had the Sisala name?
Well, he's an adult, so it's not everything. He discusses some matters with me, but it's not every matter that he discusses with me. And I have also asked, he's the director of the company, as you say, but probably not involved in the daily management of the company's business. So he wouldn't even know what they were doing at the time.
So what role does he play in the company?
I can't unless I talk to him.
But did he at any point in time tell you about this company when the name started coming up?
Yes, when I got the information, certainly I interacted with him. He's my brother.
Now, joining us through Zoom to help us through the procurement processes is a procurement specialist, Joseph Ampoma Edu, and also Godfred Ewol, a public procurement specialist, to help us understand. But that's Mr. Ewol, will be joining us through phone. Good afternoon to you, and thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Let me start with you, Mr. Godfred Ewol. What's your thought on this expose in the first place?
I only heard from your producer, but I've been in meetings all day. So if you can tell me what it is, I'm not able to.
So a situation where a deputy minister has his brother, his cousin, and his driver forming a company to win contract. The same year, the company was formed in 2017. So question is, what do you make of this situation where someone will come to office, his relatives will form a company, and then they will win contract, which some believe the company didn't have what it takes or what it took to win that particular contract?
Oh, okay, I understand. The Procurement Act itself doesn't explicitly define what situations become a conflict of interest situation. In fact, I think Section 86 of the Code of Conduct is the one that comes closest, and it requires the board of PPA, with the approval of the minister, to come up with guidelines and publish them on issues relating to code of ethics, particularly conflict of interest. But having said that, let me also say that the structure of procurement itself makes it difficult for a person to unilaterally award a contract. First of all, there has to be a procurement plan, and the entity must proceed to procure in accordance with the plan. Then there are thresholds for approval. So the head of entity has a threshold, say 100,000 for goods and services, beyond which he has to get approval from the entity tender committee and possibly even the central tender review committee. So in this particular situation, I need to know, I mean, was it within the threshold of the head of entity himself, and was he the one that took the final decision, or it was escalated to the entity tender committee, in which case he could not unilaterally have awarded the contract. So those are the technical issues that...
But being the deputy minister, even though the process is being handled by a tender committee, doesn't he have that influence? Because at the end of the day, the people on it would have some allegiance to him being the deputy minister.
Yes and no. Otherwise, then there will be no need having the committee. I mean, the idea of the committee, which comprises even some professional bodies, representatives from the Director of Finance, Administration, and all that, is being put together so that, these are ethical issues, and you cannot actually, they're not brick and mortar issues. So I like to go the straight path and say, look, was it within his means to award on his own? Then we go to the entity tender committee. Was there a meeting to deliberate on this? Did he chair that meeting? Did he, so those are the careful things. And I think that the sooner the PPA comes up with the regulations, the better, because there's lack of clarity there, and probably you are justifiably questioning these procedures.
Let me bring you in here. Now, this is a company that was formed barely a month after the man was appointed deputy minister. Then the company goes ahead to win a contract of 2.6 million. In awarding contract, what do we look at to determine that this company is indeed qualified? Mr. Ampumedu, if you can handle this for me. How do we determine that this company is qualified? We're talking about this because this company was formed just a month after the deputy minister was appointed. Run us through. How do we determine whether a company is qualified or not?
Well, since it's a works contract, in the first place, the company must have certain documentations and certificate from the works ministry. I'm not sure if anybody has raised issue as to whether they have those certificates that allow them to do a road contract in the first place. That's one. And two, according to what you said, they went through the entity tender committee, it went to the regional tender, central tender board, and it was approved. Because the amount involved is 2 point something, is the regional tender review committee that's supposed to approve it. If they have approved it,
maybe I have to provide this information, then it can help you going forward. There are two contracts here. One is for planting for food and jobs, which is 2.6 million, and the other is a road contract, which is 12.6 million. So planting for food and jobs is 2.6. For the road contract, it is 12.6 million.
Wow. Well, if it's according to second schedule into category C as region, anything above 1.5 million is supposed to go to the central review committee. And I didn't hear anything about central review committee approving the 12.5 million. So that is an issue that needs to be looked into. If that is the case, that means that they did not follow the due process to award the contract in the first place.
Okay.
Putting aside the issue of conflict of interest. One, if a company is registered a month, there's no way that company, under normal circumstances, will be awarded the road contract for 12.65 million. If it's just 1 man, because they don't have any experience, they don't have any, I'm sure they don't even have the equipment for the road they are supposed to have bidded for in the first place. So those are the issues that need to be looked at. Aside the fact that his driver, his brother, and his cousin are the directors of the company, go straight to show that it was the cook-up thing for the deputy regional minister. Okay. I mean, how do a company that has your driver, your brother, and your cousin, and you don't know anything about how the company came about, how did they manage to win a contract of that magnitude if the company is just 1 month old? These are the issues that, like my big brother said, PPA needs to look into all this. It's not something that the region have the power, because at that level, the capacity to even evaluate that magnitude of contract is not there. So whatever the minister or the deputy minister says goes. So that is the issues that needs to be looked into. Okay. One, that contract shouldn't have gone to a company that is just 1 month old, because they don't have the experience, they don't have any basis for awarding such a contract to a company that's 1 month old. If it's true that the company is just 1 month old, then they shouldn't have been awarded the contract in the first place.
But secondly, Ms. Ampomedu, do we have the like duration within which a company should be in existence before it can qualify for a certain contract? Do we have something like that?
For goods supplies, you must provide your previous experience of what you have done. And works is even more technical. Road construction falls under works. And that you must have works and housing certification before you can even be awarded a contract. And it's not something that you can obtain in a month. So how did they manage to win a contract of 12.5 million? So that needs to be looked into. Where did they get the certification to be able to even participate at receiving 3 quotations? You don't do a contract of that magnitude and receive just 3 quotations. It's not shopping. National competitive bidding require more than just receiving 3 quotations from people.
Well, one of the reasons they also gave for awarding the contract to them is that after the process, they awarded to the company that came with the lowest, bid. When awarding contract, do we look at that, or there are other factors we look at?
Price is the last thing that is considered. When they talk about lowest evaluated bid, they are not talking about the price of the contract. They are talking about the processes that you have to go through before you even look at the prices. Okay. If the person is not qualified, his price doesn't matter, even if you give it for free. So
interesting. Company, let me bring in Mr. Ewol here. Mr. Ewol, how can someone, take him or herself out of a conflict of interest situation in a situation like this?
Yes, that's what I was saying, that the earlier the PPA came out with the regulations, the better, because it is in those regulations that the processes for dealing with conflict of interest positions are clarified. So there are forms that you have to fill to indicate that you have no conflict of interest. There are situations that you certainly have to fill out those forms, but those are not yet law. Things relating to your spouse, your siblings, your parents, your children, have been given consideration. So there are provisions for declaring conflict of interest in the proposed regulations, but until they become law, we can't really hold on to them. All we have for now is the Code of Conduct provision in Section 86. So
in the current dispensation, how do I take myself out of a conflict of interest situation like this?
It's an ethical issue. It's an issue of ethics. I'm listening to the conversation, and it's clear that we are dealing with 2 things. The procedures, which my colleague has outlined clearly, we can cross-check on those procedures. Did they follow the right procedures? The qualification of the contractor, those things are issues in the tender document anyway, assuming they went on tender. Mm-hmm. So the evaluation panel, the appointment committee, and all those things, somebody can audit the process of the contract award from advertising, tender documents, evaluation, and all the lot. But that's one issue. The second one is what we are now talking about, the ethical issue that he has a relationship with the company.
The directors of the company.
Yeah.
All right. So in such a situation, what's the best way to address it?
On whose part?
I mean, we are talking about the man at the center of events here. How do we tackle it, and also to serve as, a reference point for other similar situations?
Yeah, and it's a question of ethics. I mean, if he did not become aware of his involvement in that company, that's for him to declare. But if he was aware, then he must have recused himself from the decision-making process during the award. And that's what ethically he's supposed to do. But, you cannot say that any public official cannot have any relationship at all with anybody else entering into public procurement. That's difficult. And that's why the regulation will specify specifically the kind of relationships that put you in a conflict of interest position.
If that is the case, then what is keeping the regulation from being implemented?
I think it's gone far. The best I know is that it's now at the Attorney General's Department. It's gone through parliamentary review, and I think that by the close of this year, it should be passed. And that will put to rest the debate about what is conflict of interest in procurement and what is not.
All right. Just before I let you go, Ms. Edu, what will be your concluding remark on this one?
Well, just like Godfrey has said, if we have the regulations approved and is passed into law, before anybody give you any document, the check and balances for you to follow before you award the contract will be clearly stated. So if you find out that the Form C of the company, which is a requirement now for you to even include in your documentation, shows that this person is related to this person, then you need to be careful as to how you deal with such a company as a procurement person.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. This is still the Pulse on the Joy News channel. Now, motorists plying a road leading to the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council are calling on authorities to prune overgrown weeds creeping onto the road. Drivers say it has become dangerous negotiating the sharp curve on the road located in the Danyame residential area, as portions of it are covered in wheat. Pedestrians and motorists who ply the stretch say it is risky using the route, especially at night. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku interacted with some road users and has filed this report.
Weeds along the sharp curve have crept onto the road, narrowing the already slender route. Drivers who ply the stretch describe the area as a breeding ground of fatal road accidents. Ejamenu, a commercial driver, recounts a near rear-on collision with an oncoming vehicle. It was raining, and because we usually use bright lights during such times, I nearly crashed into an oncoming vehicle because I couldn't see it coming. The stretch joins the main route to the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council and the presidential residency from Denyame. Commercial drivers in the residential area tell Love News it's precarious negotiating the bend at night, especially for persons who are unacquainted of the road. It's scary using the road at night, especially for weeder drivers. Because of the bush, it's really dangerous using the road.
This guardrail that is meant to protect pedestrians that ply the stretch, and also as an indication for oncoming vehicles that this is a sharp curve, is now covered in weeds. It makes it difficult for drivers who use this stretch to go to the other side, and even those coming from the other end to know whether they are directly inside the curve.
The speed ramp signage engulfed in the bush is not only elusive to drivers, but its complementary structure, meant to slow down speeding vehicles, has lost its navigation to the road. The section covered by weeds, we are told, was demarcated for construction of a pedestrian walkway. But pedestrians have to alternatively use the more perilous side of the road. We have no space to walk by the road unless we walk inside of the road.
A car nearly knocked me down whilst I was walking. When the car is coming, it is very difficult for you to give way for the car to pass.
The stretch leading to Golden Tulip Hotel from the Regional Lands Commission office is no different.
So you can imagine the difficulty pedestrians and drivers have to endure during the night using the stretch.
Until the weeds along the roads are pruned, they could potentially cost a life. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
Now, victims of an alleged police brutality in the Mamprogu Meduri district of the Northeast region are pleading for assistance for treatment. The victims include a 40-year-old farmer, Razak Ibrahim, who is said to have suffered severe injuries to his waist and eye, demanding urgent medical care. They were said to have been assaulted last week when armed security personnel invaded their communities, arresting over 20 others over the death of a suspected robber. Correspondent Eliasu Tanko has more.
On the 9th of June 18th at about 2 a.m., as members of this small community were asleep in their rooms, over 200 armed military and police personnel sneaked into the district and descended on them without any warning. One after the other, according to the accounts of the residents, the armed security personnel created a blockade around the community to prevent them from fleeing, before knocking at every door and arresting almost every male adult in the community. The operation, which the residents describe as violent and chaotic, ended with the arrest of 25 people, including a minor. This man, Saibu Yakubu, said to be among those arrested during the security invasion, presented these huge stakes as evidence that the security personnel had assaulted them during the operation. These are the canes they used to beat us before arresting us. I didn't know why we were being arrested until I got to Nalirgo, where they accused us of killing a Fulani and secretly burying him. I denied knowing anything about the allegations. They insisted and referred me to a robbery attack that they said occurred at the fuel station over there. I told them I was in Tamale on that day. This was what I gave them. However, what the security personnel did to us was horrible. The whole village was horrified that some women had miscarriages and children fled into the bush. We are still looking for some, and our brother Razak was brutally assaulted. Sources in the community have shown that not only were the residents painfully arrested, but the security personnel also carried out violence against some of them, leading to severe injuries. One of the victims, who claimed that he was attacked by over 20 officers, said he has suffered injuries to his waist and sides. The victim, Razak, can now barely stand on his feet after the alleged police brutality. He recounts his ordeal by firstly denying any involvement in the death of the suspected robber. I heard screams coming from the direction of a senior brother. The noise was unusual, so I decided to go to his rescue. I picked up my shirt and asked my wife to stay indoors. Before I could step out of their room, they accosted me and started to punch me. Soon, they kicked me to the ground and continued to beat me mercilessly. Can you see what they did to my eyes? They used the butt of the guns to repeatedly hit my face and attempted to break my neck. With swollen and reddish eyes, he is now being assisted to sit up from his lying position. I have pains all over my body, particularly in my waist, my neck, and my knees.
So
is now appealing for immediate assistance for treatment while calling for justice. What I have to say is an appeal for assistance for treatment. I have no other source of livelihood apart from farming, but with this condition, I wouldn't be able to provide for my family unless I get treatment. The Regional Police Command is yet to comment on the operation, but according to the Regional Minister, it was in connection with the death of a Burkinabe national killed in a boat robbery attack on the 20th of last month in the area. The residents, however, insist that the deceased individual was part of a 4-member gang who had attacked and stolen an amount of 15,000 Ghana cedis from this fuel station. The police have since released 21 of those arrested, with the remaining 4 still in custody, including a final year student of Yagaba Senior High School. His father is appealing to the police to release him and also to the regional authorities to come to the support of the victims of the brutality. We are not animals living in this community. Why must we die because a Fulani has been killed? And they brought over 11 vehicles full of police and soldiers to invade us, and there's no authority to speak up on our behalf. Because we do not have a president, no minister, not even our MP or DC, we appeal to them to come to our aid. My son was not around when the incident happened, yet he was arrested and is still being kept in Nalerugu. He's a final year student and appeals to them to release him to continue his education. Elias Sutanko reporting for Joy News.
You're also watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more stories here on The Pulse. Stay with us. Now, welcome back from the break. Heavy rains continue to cause havoc and destruction in several parts of the western region. One of the worst hit areas is the Elembele district, where over 150 houses have collapsed in the aftermath of the torrential rains. Correspondent Ina Thalia Konsa reports that hundreds of people have been displaced. The residents are appealing to the government for help to relocate to higher grounds.
Is my crop on a predominantly cocoa-growing community in the Elembele district of the western region is surrounded by 5 rivers. In the event of continuous rains, almost all the rivers overflow their banks and submerge the entire community, which is a low-lying area, leaving in its wake an annual destruction of property. After 2 days of torrential rainfall last week, more than 100 homes collapsed, rendering over 750 people homeless.
But it has happened before. I think about 12 years ago. It happened. It came for the second time. But this is the third time. But it has destroyed properties. Unfortunately for us, it didn't lose any life. Fortunately for us, it didn't lose any life. So what we are saying is that the Honorable DC, collaboration with the government of the day and other non-governmental agencies, for example, the Adamus and Co, should come into our aid and help us to relocate from here to a new site. Unfortunately for Nananum, they have given us a very nice land. It was very severe because as we speak now, my people don't have any place to sleep. It is the churches that are done us a favor. So some of my people are sleeping in various churches' rooms. And then the school too, we have given it to some of them, some of the victims. So they are all sleeping there. And as we all know, we are in the rainy season. The mosquitoes and other rodents, it is really disturbing them. Every night we kill a snake.
Adamusufo, Yadamasi, Yamishilam. There are some Yama and Mayama. Now, they see what had an eye say, the name Sebaba tree. It's your eye, who and I'm said, Adam. Miniama Kwananya agro, so actually the batch Kwana one crane. Yawahayawana, what the Amudinam Suanumo, or what Premle, and Katuan and Penini, and you had one for her now, baby cloud on Iden, Eddie see, and so Yanko Padia, Yanwado for Momba boy, I'm here to me, he's adding floor. Yes, Slamo, Yamamway and I'm pay baby fire and Gumai. I said the Baba, maybe Yankola, no, you know, bedding, but I'm a watchly, into Adamase, and Yaslamo, Mua by Adamus, Mumuay, Naya Hontoye.
This is the third time in 12 years that the community has seen such magnitude of destruction at the peak of a raining season. Feeding has become difficult as farms and other sources of food are all underwater now. Many people have lost almost everything, including monies through the flood. Adamus Mines, which operates in the Elembele district, presented relief items such as bags of rice, cooking oil, sugar, and mackerels to those affected.
It's a simple disaster had happened in the area, and we think, looking around at the level of distress created by the rains in these two communities, which fall inside our catchment area, we think it is part of the social responsibility to be able to help and do what we can to relieve the plight of the people who are affected. As we speak, we understand some of the houses, residences are underwater. The people do not have a means of traveling outside anywhere to be able to get access to some of the food items, and we think this is the best way we can support.
The Elembele District Chief Executive Kwesi Bonzo is happy about what he says is a timely intervention. He, however, says relocating the community is the best option to save lives and property.
This is the third time it's happening within the last 12 years, and this year is worse as compared to the previous two. So we're here, Natmutim was here Sunday to observe it. The whole place was submerged underwater. As you can see, there's a river all around it, and it looks like the current community was built on an island. By the time it was being built, they settled on the high areas. But as the community expanded, it's gone close to the river. So anytime there's any heavy downpour, then the water comes. But this time, it was very serious. So the entire community, as we went round and took the inventory, close to 150 households have been completely destroyed, pulled down by the water. They can't have anywhere to even sleep. Now, each household has a minimum of about 6-7 people. Some have as much as 10. So you are looking at over 1,000 people internally displaced. And in our interaction with the community, we've all come to a consensus that the community has to be relocated because it keeps recurring. It's the third time. So the community identified a new site, which is virtually a virgin land, which means that social amenities has to be provided: road, electricity, water, and everything. And also they should be assisted to rebuild their various households.
Many members of the community say they are afraid that they might lose the entire town and their property as the rains continue to batter the area. For Joy News, in Athalia Kwansa, Elembele.
Now, managers of the KJT market and traders front are meeting the Electricity Company of Ghana in an attempt to get electricity supply restored to the market. Power to the entire market has been disconnected since Tuesday over unpaid electricity bills. The market leaders and management intend to make commitment towards a part payment by issuing a post-dated check. The utility provider is expecting payment of about 1 million cedis out of the accrued sum of 5 million. Nanaya Ojima has a report on impact of the power which has been cut on trading in the market.
The KJT market has over 8,000 stores and other spaces for trade. Per the architecture, the market depends heavily on electricity to keep it illuminated. Since the disconnection, the market has been dark and quiet. many shops remain closed as the once vibrant headquarters moving goods in the market take a rest.
Business is very slow. Our patrons can't see us in the dark, so we are forced to pitch camp here.
Individual stores have made provisions for bulbs to improve lighting. Unfortunately, the space within the stores remain dark. In their quest to get individual access to electricity, traders agreed to pay 850 cedis for separate meters and installation. The agreement between management of the market, ECG and Gamma Power Distribution Limited was subsequently abrogated. The traders in the past 10 months have refused to pay accrued electricity bills to protest the termination of the agreement.
Oh, any bill that they're supposed to give to us this time, we are ready to pay. But we don't believe our management. Even at all, if we are paying money, we want to pay the money direct to the electricity company.
Oh, for this management, I don't trust them. So if any different management will come for the money, I will accept it. For this management, I don't trust them. I'm going to say, see the car.
This is one of the busiest areas within the Kumasi KJTR market. It's a shop for dressmakers in the market, and on normal days it's very difficult for anyone to have his way walk through the area like this. But due to the absence of power in this shop, the traders or dressmakers here are forced to stay in their homes, leaving the place empty. Francis Kwating is one of over 60 dressmakers here. To meet deadline, his client aids his work with light from a mobile phone. With one hand, the tailor tries to power the sewing machine in the absence of electricity.
My fingers hurt, but I have to finish this because I can't refund the money. I've spent over 2 hours on an hour job.
2 hours. Oh, Kebianka, Memphans 1 hour be Memphans 5 minutes be crana bit my by you must spend the brute 2 hours.
The butchery in the market perhaps is the worst affected. Meat stocked by the butchers are deteriorating due to lack of electricity to power diffusers here. Some of them have lost thousands of cedis to the challenge.
We have thrown away some of the meat. We pray the power is restored soon.
Until the problem is fixed, traders will continue to lose revenue. Managing Director of Kumasi City Markets, Kofi Dufour, speaks about the way forward.
Tying the meters to the power that they've consumed is another argument altogether. We need to make some payment. So when we went to ECG, if I'm coming from ECG, they've told us yes, if we don't do 50% down payment on power that we have consumed, they are not going to restore the lights. Because they did that 8 months ago and we didn't make any payment. We asked for a moratorium of 2 months to be able to mobilize and come and pay an agreed percentage so that we would have a payment plan to clear whatever outstanding balance that there is. And they will still not agree.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, to promote the efficient use of electricity and also highlight the importance of renewable energy, the Energy Commission, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, has begun empowering senior high school students through a renewable energy and climate change competition to develop products that can potentially solve related issues in the energy sector. The development of societal needed project is also to encourage students to be more practical and move away from the phenomenon of chew, pour, and pass. Correspondent in Athalia Concern has the rest of the story.
The Ghana Secondary Technical School, GSTS, will this year represent the Western region in the upcoming zonal competition of the Energy Commission Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge. The school, which emerged winner of the regional competition with 84 points, competed with other second cycle institutions in the region, including the Archbishop Porter Girls, Ahansman Girls, Mpoho Senior High School, Adiambra Senior High School, Takwa Senior High School, Shama Senior High School, Hafasini, and the St. John's Senior High School. The competition, which is the third in a series organized in collaboration with the Energy Commission, saw students displaying various developed projects in the area of either clean cooking or food processing related to the use of renewable energy technologies. Project coordinator for the Energy Commission is Julius Nkansa Nyako.
After the zonals of the competition, the best 6 projects will be taken on board by CSIR Ghana, who would help the students to develop it further. They've established a research hub for such talents, and then we would link these schools to them. They will take them through various research techniques to develop their projects. What the commission envisages is that after improving upon these projects that we've seen here, they will be commercialized. That's bring them onto the market after it's been fully developed. And we also believe that by commercializing them, value will be added, and then also money would be made.
The Municipal Director of Education at the Fia Kwesimentum Municipal Assembly, Catherine Andomensa, commended the Energy Commission for partnering the GES to make the project a reality. She says the initiative is appropriate as it will challenge students to research more, be innovative, and think critically to resolve issues in their localities regarding energy.
This program has come at the opportune time when nations and communities are searching for the best alternative means and efficient use of energy which are cost-effective and environmentally friendly. It has come at a time when the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service are thinking of making teaching and learning practical based so that learners will be fully filled with core competencies as prescribed in the new curriculum for pre-tertiary education in Ghana.
The lead competitor for the GSTS, Kingsley Kwesi Mensah, expressed appreciation to God for helping them win the competition. He promised to bring the trophy to the Western region.
We pray to God that if He lets us win, we're going to give thanks to Him. And so if we have won, our first and foremost appreciation and our biggest appreciation is to our God, creator of the universe. As our judges gave comments about whatever we did, we're going to take them into consideration and then work towards it and then finish everything that we need to incorporate into our system, and then hopefully God is going to grant us victory.
For Joy News, in Athalia Kwanza, Western Region.
Now, as part of effort to boost staff morale and recognize the contribution of its workforce, Longreach International Ghana Limited has awarded some deserving distributors and partners across the country. The acknowledgement came through during the 7th anniversary celebration of the multinational company at the University of Professional Studies on Saturday. Speaking at the event, the founder of Longreach Ghana, Andrews Kojo, underscored the need for the company to continue to foster stronger ties with its stakeholders. In his submissions, he also outlined plans by the company to expand its reach and influence in the industry. Some of the awardees whose efforts were recognized also expressed their gratitude and recounted their journey with the company so far. My colleague Mao Sinumo was at the event and came through with this report.
Longreach International is a manufacturing conglomerate known for its authentic world-class products and reward system. Since its inception in Ghana, the company has offered diverse employment opportunities to its patrons and stakeholders. At its 7th anniversary celebration, the company seized the occasion to project some hard-working individuals who have contributed to the gains of its operations. Two of the awardees, Richard Kwame Gidisu and Romeo Mawulolo Dablo, narrated their experiences with the company, highlighting some of the benefits they have enjoyed during the period under review.
I'm actually in my third year. Last year was 2021 when I won my first trip to Dubai, all expense paid. It was a fantastic trip. I only tell friends that Long Reach is a platform for all, regardless of your background, whether you are rich, poor, educated or not.
6 years I've been in Long Reach, and it's one amazing opportunity that has personally changed my life, and I'll always recommend it to other people out there to also take advantage of it. It has not been a smooth journey, by the way. Anything that is good normally takes time. A friend introduced the business to me, and then I also got a car, my second car in the business. Last year I qualified for my first car in the business. This year, God being so good, I've qualified for my second car award in the business. So 2 awards and also a rank advancement award. I was also awarded a tablet, a Samsung tablet, for moving further in a higher rank in the business.
Founder of Long Reach Ghana, Andrews Kojo Asari, revealed that plans are underway to build a timber processing factory in the country.
You know, we have a department called the carpentry and other furniture design department. We have the best machinery, so that is the department that I want to bring it to Ghana, so that at least we have a lot of timber here that at least we can add big value to it without exporting the logs and the rest. So these are some of the areas that I just want to form the consortium so that we add value to whatever at least we have here.
Captain Nick Owusu has been with Long Reach International Ghana Limited for 6 years and is now a 2-star director. In his submissions, he shed light on what it takes for one to be a partner with the company, in addition to how the business operates.
The business is basically a business for everybody. Anybody above the legal age of 18 can join the business. We do not have restrictions as to educational levels, but of course, if you can read and write, it's a plus. It's not capital intensive at all. With as little as just 200 cedis, you are able to join our business. Because with 200 cedis, we are able to set up an account for you, and you are able to receive some of our products. Each and every one of us is a social person, and which means that you have friends, you have family members, you have people you went to school with, you have people you attend church with. So the concept of the business is that you experience the product yourself and share with your immediate circle of influence, the people, your friends, your family, your uncles, your aunties, your siblings. And by so doing, they also have their circle of influence. So you see that you create a pool of interconnecting relationships.
Long Reach International operates in about 158 countries with over 120,000 staff capacity in Ghana. The company manufactures over 2,000 products ranging from food supplements, cooking equipment and utensils, skincare products and sanitary wares, amongst others. Mausinumon's report read to you.
Now let's take you back to our Drive Safe campaign where in Kumasi some drivers and pedestrians are asking the authorities to clear weeds which are growing onto a road in the area. We've been joined on Zoom by Pearl Adusu, who is the Public Relations Officer for the Road Safety Commission. Pearl, good afternoon. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
First of all, let's start from Kumasi, where all the road signs that are warning drivers of impending danger have been overgrown by weeds. Why do we have such instances happening?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers. What is happening currently is that we are in the raining season.
Okay.
And in raining seasons, weeds grow around the environment. Mm-hmm. And so naturally, some of the roads which don't have, which has not been tarred, will obviously be grown with weeds.
And so that is why weeds are growing on most of our roads in the country, especially at the countryside.
Unfortunately, this one is a tarred road, but there's a sharp bend on the road, and there is a guard which is warning drivers that this is a very sharp curve. That guard has been overgrown by weeds. Also, signs that are warning drivers that there is an impending or they are getting close to speed bumps have all been overgrown by weeds. So this is not like it's an untarred road. It's a tarred road, but we do have this happening. If we are going to fight against road carnage, these are the things we need to be looking at. But unfortunately, it does look as though we are not too much concerned about that.
Thank you very much. We can clearly see that the edges of the road where the weeds are growing has not been tarred, but it has grown into and getting into the tarred places, which obviously impairs driving. And as you rightly said, the signs and the safeguards are all being covered with weeds. And the road is not the property of National Road Safety, it's the property or it's in the domain of the road agencies. And so as we have done, we just wrote a compliance notice to urban roads to check and rectify all traffic lights that are not working so that it will not pose as a risk to road users and pedestrians in particular. The same thing we are doing, we are sending our road safety inspectors around so that they can identify every obstacle on the road so that we can also issue same compliance to those responsible taking care of such things on the road so that it will not pose as hazard or risk to road users.
But how proactive is Road Safety Commission in terms of ensuring that there's safety on our roads? Because like this one, I see that for all of us, the stakeholders in ensuring safety on our roads, we are not being proactive enough. And it's not only Kumasi. If you go to Takoradi, you see it. If you come to Accra, you see it. How is proactiveness, seen in terms of making sure our roads are safe?
We are now an authority, as you know, from 2019, when the Road Safety Act 2019 was assented to by the president. From that time up to now, we've sensitized a lot of the institutions that are in the road safety management space to know what we now do. And so it is fairly new. They are coming up a little to know what exactly we do. So per section 27 of the National Road Safety Act, Act 993, we issue compliance notice to institutions who are supposed to do one thing or the other to keep our roads safe. And that is exactly what we are doing. And so we are issuing compliance notice to all stakeholders who have to do something to promote road safety. This is in the domain of the road agencies, urban roads, Ghana Highway Authority, or either feeder roads. And that is exactly what we do. Give them some time to weed around all roads that are growing with weeds. And that is what we can do as an authority to make sure that everybody plays their role well and responsibly to promote road safety.
I agree with you, but strategically, how is the relationship between yourself and other road agencies, the highways, the urban roads, the feeder roads, like you mentioned, to ensure that some of these things are seen before they get here? Because if you look at the videos we have, the weeds started from a point and they have overgrown. It means that nobody was paying attention. So what's the relationship? How do you ensure that, oh, this is happening here, so let's go there, let's go and solve it? Let's understand.
Thank you very much. We are stakeholder sister agencies. We sit down at a common round table to hold strategic meetings.
How often?
Biannually, quarterly, yearly. We even call directors of stakeholder agencies and speak with them directly. They are our brothers and our sisters. And so we do it quarterly. We just did one recently. And so all programs and problems that they have, they put it at the table, and we all share common ideas as to how we can do it effectively and efficiently. So we do whole strategic meetings, and so they know. The problem is that when you tell them of one area and they do it, the other area, maybe they've not gone there yet. And so we need to prompt them. Sometimes they even do it before we write to them or prompt them. But I think it is, as you said, we should be more proactive than we are currently as institutions to do a good job that will promote road safety in the country.
Okay, Pearl, I'm grateful that you found time to join us. Pearl Adusu is the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Road Safety Authority. Now, to other stories, a pressure group, Arise Ghana, has served notice it will challenge a court order that fixed its Tuesday protest for 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is a reaction to the court order secured by the Ghana Police Service after it had alleged an evening protest opens the nation up to possible terrorist attack. The police filed the case in court after failing to reach an agreement with the group. The group will commence a 2-day protest tomorrow to demand a lasting solution to economic challenges facing the country.
The police service initially asked the court for an adjournment, saying that they required some more time to go through the process that have been filed. But lawyers for the protesters insisted that the court directs the police to move the motion because they say that this is a matter that the police can easily study the documents and respond to. The court initially gave the police some more time, after which the police requested a further adjournment, but that request was turned down as the police was directed to move its motion. DSP Sylvester Asai, who represented the Ghana Police Service, argued that it was important for the court to ensure timelines that effective policing could take place. A lawyer for Arise Ghana, led by Edigi Tamaklo, urged the court not to fix such timelines as it will amount to micromanaging the right of citizens to stage protest. Justice Tasiame, after hearing arguments on both sides, decided that the protest should take place and begin at 8 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. and that it should start at the Obra Sport and terminate at the Independence Square. And so that is the guidelines for the protest. Bernard Mona, who leads Arise Ghana, has been speaking to the press.
Well, the most important thing is that the demonstration is coming on tomorrow as we planned, and we are excited that our lawyers were able to argue strongly for the demonstrations to come on. So we have to go out now to mobilize and to encourage the many persons who were in doubt that the demonstration will come on, that our lawyers succeeded. After that, there are other processes we will file that will ensure that we'll still go ahead and probably succeed at the time that we want. We are told that we should close at a certain time tomorrow, that is after 4 p.m. and we don't think that that is fair. The police cannot determine what time citizens want to wake up and go and manifest our unhappiness about the way governance is done in this country. But given that the judge herself, you could see, was a little afraid of the word terrorism, as you heard her say, that even the word terrorism is something that is terrifying enough. But we know that what is terrorizing the people of Ghana is the economic hardship that we are facing. What is terrorizing the people of Ghana is the confiscation of our savings through electronic transfers levies. What is terrorizing the people of Ghana is the apparent increasing cost of everything that we find ourselves in, with a president that is clearly uncaring about the plight of the citizens. So if there is any real terrorism confronting the people of Ghana, it is how the people of Ghana survive and not any imaginary terrorism.
Lawyer for Arise Ghana, Edigi Tamaklo, also had this to say.
The police in the affidavit kept saying that there are issues of terrorism. In fairness, we expected the police to have asked for an in-camera hearing where they can share with the courts the said intel on terrorism. Because like I pointed out in court, the demonstration is supposed to happen up to 8 p.m. Now, the police are saying that there are terrorist acts in the sub-region. We have shown, by way of our affidavit in opposition, that of all the terrorist acts in the West African sub-region and Africa, none happened in the night. And so if you are not opposed to a demonstration happening in the afternoon, how do you use terrorist acts in the afternoon in Togo to oppose demonstration in the night? But like in the superior wisdom of the court feels that, well, for the continuous peace of the country, the demonstrators can make their point by ending the demonstration at 4 p.m., contrary to the claim by the police that it should end at 3 p.m. We want to thank the court that at least it has recognized the constitutionally guaranteed right to demonstrate. We are grateful to the court.
So the protest will take place on Tuesday at 8 a.m. from the Obra Sports here in Accra and end at the Independence Square at 4 p.m. For joining us from the Law Courts Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
And back in studio, joining us in studio is Prince Kwame Minka. He's a leading member of Arise Ghana Group. Kwame, how are you?
I'm doing good, and good to be here once again.
Great to have you. First of all, your reaction on the judgment today.
Okay, so, I mean, for anyone watching Joy News at this moment, I'm sure if you're home or abroad, you're going to be shocked that, look, a group wants to protest over hard economic situation in the country, and then it is slapped with this. I mean, what's the issue? We actually had a series of conversations with the Ghana Police Service, and just 2 days to the demonstration, then we are slapped with this. I mean, this should tell you where the country is headed for.
Now, so when you were communicating with them, did they agree with your initial plan?
The initial plan was agreed. I mean, we're in conversation, okay, and per the communications I've had so far, we seem to have had certain form of verbal agreements
that you can have it in the evening,
yes,
as you planned.
In fact, initially the plan was to start from midday and then end at 10 p.m. And then it was whittled down to 8 p.m. That's what I know. And then before we could say that 2 days to the demonstration, we're hit with certain statement, circulating in the media that the Ghana Police Service is running to court to sort of, do what they've done today. And look, it should tell you where our country is headed. This is not the Ghana that we know. I mean, in time past when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo protested over VAT, I'm sure nobody went to court.
He did it in the morning, not in the evening.
To sort of enchant. I mean, that was the solution. That was the solution they thought would deal with the situation then. But we're not in normal times. And so you need a different set of solution to be able to deal with the current situation. What's the current situation? I'm sure you've been checking your fuel gauge. And anytime you do, just as Bernard Mona, you're smiling, you're laughing. Just as Bernard Mona was saying, what's more terrorizing, than a situation like that? I mean, you're driving to work in the morning, you're looking at your fuel gauge, and then you're getting palpitation. That's serious. That's psychological terrorism. And that's something that, a number of Ghanaians can't afford to live with in the coming days, months, and years. And that is why we are saying that the Ghanaian youth, the entire Ghanaian populace, this is the time for us to arise. Let's arise, speak truth to power like we did going into the 2016 elections, like we've done, like Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo himself has done in the past, like many other leaders have done in the past. Let's speak truth to power. I mean, some weeks ago, I saw our colleague Latif Idris.
Yeah.
I was shocked. For a moment, I thought, when I saw him from afar, I thought he had an earpiece on. So I sort of said in my mind, look at this guy and his swag. I got closer only to realize that these are medical aids. And then, upon narration, I'm told that it's as a result of the brutality meted out to him when journalists like Latif was covering a protest. I mean, this should tell you something, my brother, that where our nation is headed for, if we do not stand up, if we do not rise up and speak truth to power, the worst is yet to come. I mean, for a country that was so promising, when our first president stood on the podium and said, at long last, the battle has, he said, at long last, the battle has ended, and Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. What was instructive in the speech was when he said, that we're going to prove to the whole world that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. We've got gold, we've got timber, we've got, strong, vibrant, intelligent, young, dynamic Ghanaians. We are unable to use the human resource capital we have. We are unable to use the natural resources we have in order to inure to our benefit. When I say that, I'm talking about development.
But is that a problem of one regime? Isn't it?
Doesn't matter what happened in the past. Okay. I mean, here at Multimedia, one thing that I still live with, which Multimedia imbibed in me, was the fact that if you're given a responsibility, you're given a set of KPIs, and you're supposed to fulfill those KPIs. If you don't, there are penalties for that. When they stood on the platform and they were campaigning, okay, they set out those KPIs. And then our job as citizens of the Republic of Ghana is to ensure that we monitor if they're able to fulfill those KPIs. They came into government with so many promises that they were going to turn things around. They're going to turn the fortunes of the country around within 18 months. I think we've gone past the 18 months. Now, all that we hear is COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine conflict. When we certainly know that our government, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who leads the government, have the men. So where are the men to deal with the fundamentals of our economy and make our economy better? I do not care about what's happening in the United States of America. I do not care about what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. I'm a Ghanaian citizen. I went, I queued, I voted for a group of people to come and fix my problems. The roads are bad. Children are not getting water. Children are sitting or studying under trees. That's a trend that they criticize. And now that they are in government, we're expecting that they deal with that trend so that we can move on, so that we can actually smile and shout to the world that we are Ghanaians. But today, the Ghanaian is unable to confidently say, I'm proud to be a Ghanaian. The Ghanaians seem to be cowered in and it's living in a certain fear. When you speak to journalists in Ghana today, they are unable to deal with the issues like we used to going into the 2016 elections. You quite remember the number.
You think so?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Really?
Deal with it.
Yeah, join us, we speak our mind.
Yeah, we do.
We do whatever we have to do.
What's the tagline?
It is independent, fearless, credible.
Yes, and you've been fearless, yet there's Latif Idrisu. You've been fearless, yet there was Manasseh Azuri. So you can be fearless. You can shout. You can scream your lungs out. You can use all the beautiful nomenclature. But the reality is going to hit you in the face. And that is the reason. Look, it does not matter which political party you belong to. It does not matter what ideology you are inclined to. All that matters is that we've got Ghana. We need to protect our Ghana. We need to ensure that our Ghana is set on a footing that we can be proud of in the next 5, 10, or 20, or even 200 years. Look, lastly, before I leave, Ghana, anytime I think of Ghana at 100, fear grips me.
Really?
I'm thinking of the sort of speeches our president
will deliver. Okay. In terms of the economy, if there's one thing you want change, what will that be?
One thing that I want change is the fuel price increment. Okay. Now, the fundamental to this is a forex. All right? I remember how we used to be proud in John Ajako Kufuor's days that 1 cedi, $1. Today, where's the 1 cedi, $1? It's all gone. Where's the, I'll protect the public purse? Is the purse being protected? We're losing Ghanaian money to corruption.
Okay. So is the protest coming on tomorrow?
Tomorrow the protest is coming on, and we're going to start from Obrasport, and the rest is going to follow. I mean, everything is going to unfold in its natural course.
The court says end at 4 p.m.
Yes.
Will you obey?
So, as I indicated, we are protesting tomorrow, and then we're going to be marching across the
Will you obey the court rule
of the national capital, Accra?
Will you obey
we're going to ensure that our messages
my question to you is yes or no. Will you obey the court order that end at 4 p.m.?
It's not as simple a question as you think.
It is.
I mean, the point is,
the court says hold on.
Yes.
The court says start at 8 a.m.
Yes.
End at 4 p.m.
Yes.
That's the order from the court.
Yes.
And your lawyer said you respect.
Our lawyer.
Okay, our lawyer.
I'm going to take
no problem. I'll go with it.
As a journalist,
I'll go with it. Don't worry. Tamaklo is a friend of mine. So you're with us? Yes. Our lawyer said we respect the court order. Will you obey? 4 p.m.
We're law-abiding citizens of the Republic of Ghana. We're a very disciplined group, and we're going to be looking at the communication outcome from. The team will sit, brainstorm, strategize on how we're going to embark on our demonstration tomorrow. But what we know is that all is set.
Tomorrow is the day. You don't know when you are ending.
Yes.
The court says end
tomorrow,
at 4 p.m.
What I know is that all is set, and tomorrow we're going to ensure that Ghana knows that the economic situation is bad. Ghana should know that we can no longer stand the corruption.
Thank you very much. Prince Kwame Minka is a leading member of Arise Ghana Group. We'll take a quick break here. This is still the Pulse on Joy News.
We'll see you tomorrow
with more. And that's all for our bulletin. There's more news and information at myjoyonline.com. Up next is Let's Talk Showbiz. My name is Samuel Kojo. Brace. Thanks for your time.